Welcome. This is the Seek Coach podcast, a podcast exploring the Seek principles and how to live them in the 21st century. Welcome everybody. This is the Seek Coach podcast. I am Avtar Singh. This is episode 2, Guru Nanak's Social Impact and the Iceberg Model. So recently, in November 2019, Sikhs around the world celebrated the 550th birthday of Guru Nanak, the founder of the faith called Sikhism. I was fortunate enough to be part of a Sikh youth camp in Reading Gurdwara, where I prepared a half-an-hour activity to interactively discuss Guru Nanak's social impact. So what is the iceberg theory? A lot of people may have seen images of an iceberg, and the particular image I want you to think about is the iceberg image where you can see above the ocean and below the ocean. And what you will typically see is the iceberg above the ocean is much smaller than the iceberg below the ocean. And what is visible to the eye is what you see above the ocean. So the metaphor is we see the superficial things only, or the obvious things when we look at people, look at ourselves. And also, we judge things just by visuals and our own perspective. And the iceberg theory says that, we see people's successes or downfalls, but we don't see all of the efforts and all the lessons learnt underneath, which allowed them to have those successes and those learning experiences. So it's quite a powerful model, and I believe we can use it for self-development purposes and to really put situations into perspective. So a really cool image of the iceberg theory is one drawn by, I think, a lady called Sylvia Duckworth. And I believe she is on Twitter, but I think if you search on Google and type in the iceberg illusion and by Sylvia Duckworth, I'll be uploading this onto the blog site and Facebook and Instagram anyway, so you'll better see it. But I just think it's been done really well, and you can see it visually. And what it shows is the top of the iceberg, and it says success, what people see, and below what people don't see. So I think if you get a chance to look at this, definitely do that. So moving on and looking at Guru Nanak's social impact and the iceberg theory. Typically what we hear of for Guru Nanak is that he taught people to live truthfully, a spiritual life, promoted equality, promoted selfless service called seva, and for everybody to earn an honest living. So these are the quite high level things that we have prominent in our minds, because typical discourses or education focuses on these key areas. When you start to reflect on the iceberg underneath the ocean, you can start thinking of some of the other skills and experience and social impact that Guru Nanak had. So for example, he had to be a visionary, because he must have had a vision for what he was teaching and the longevity of it. I mean, he had 9 subsequent gurus, and then our current guru, Guru Granth Sahib Ji. So, to have something like that, there must be a vision of where I see the Sikh faith going, where do I see the social impact spreading, and for how long. So the way we relate that to ourselves is we can see the direct comparison where corporate organizations prepare a strategy, a short-term strategy, a medium-term strategy, a long-term strategy, of where they want to see the organization go, what objectives, what goals, and how are they going to break that down into smaller goals and change the culture of the people to achieve that. And we can have our own personal strategies too, understanding where we are in our career, our own businesses, where we want it to be at a certain point in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, and how we want to maybe have more of a social impact in what we do for the benefit of others and giving back. Another skill that's hidden underneath the iceberg is project management. You can imagine every single one of our gurus would have been an effective project manager. From the initial stages when Guru Nanak established the faith, he established a base, and no doubt the following grew immensely. So no doubt the infrastructure must have needed to grow, and no doubt the gurus would have been involved in this, ensuring the relative capacity of infrastructure is created, be that roads, be that places for followers of the faith to stay, whether it's feeding them. So you can imagine the whole processes and institutions that needed to be put in place to ensure that people could visit the Guru and learn and make a social change. But all of those things required infrastructure. And what you can see now is whichever Guru you take, whichever base they created, they turn those places into towns and cities. Just take, for example, Amritsar, the place established by Guru Nanak Ji, is now one of the largest cities in Punjab. I believe Guru Nanak was an activist, and so were all the other gurus. They did what they said, and they believed what they taught. And we can see that clearly in their actions and history. A clear example is Guru Nanak took 5 journeys to spread the word of the Sikh faith, and that took him 24 years to complete. And you can imagine, in those days, it was either walking or by horse or by cart, but whichever way you look at it, it was not easy. So reflecting on what we've spoken about and some of the things that are not so prominent about Guru Nanak, I want to see how we can reflect that on ourselves, on our lives, and personalize this, and to see how we can make more of a social impact, and see how much effort that our gurus took to spread the message of Sikhism to the world and to create that positivity. We can take inspiration from that, and we can then start to think of areas where we can do more. And one of the key things is that we all have our strengths and weaknesses and potential that we should offer the world. And I think this is what Guru Nanak really wanted his Sikhs to do, was to find where your strengths lie. And then, not even your strengths, find where your passion lies. What do you like? What do you enjoy doing? And then you will find a niche, or it might not even niche, it might be a lot of people, depending on what your passion is, that you can actually impact in a positive way, people in the world, and make a real difference to their world around them, and it will be because of you. And I think that is the true way of practicing the faith, is to really understand your journey. What sacrifices have you had to deal with? What things have you had to persist with? What things did you need to remain dedicated about? What hard work did you do? What habits have you created to help you achieve what you've achieved so far? And what have you learned from your experiences? Whether they are things that you feel haven't gone well, or everyone goes through trials and tribulations, but that's what makes you. And I think all of that learning is sitting within you. Just because you haven't reflected on it, just like the iceberg under the water, this is all things that you don't think about until you sit down, take some time out, and look back at your life and see what's happened, what have you done, what haven't you done, what did you want to do, why haven't you done it. And then that's an immense amount of learning that somebody can benefit from. Somebody might learn something from you and save themselves making the same mistakes, and help them progress much more earlier and do things with much more potential. So that's my challenge to all of the listeners of this podcast, is then to look at Guru Nanak and what we've talked about, and the below the iceberg is where I want people to understand and focus their attentions to. See how much effort and qualities that our gurus had, and how much of those are still relatable to us today, because we still have the same trials and tribulations. And the only difference is, Guru Nanak has given us a framework to work with, and we can use that to sort of plan what we want to do, and how we want to do it. And I think in the coming podcast, I will talk more about this in detail and discuss the 3 pillars of Sikhism, selfless service and seva, honest work, kirat karni, contemplation, simran, and what that means, and what it means to us in today's world, and how we can apply that. So I hope you found this podcast useful. I welcome feedback. I'm on Instagram at the Seek Coach, also Facebook, the same, at the Seek Coach. There's a page there. There's also a website, which if you go to the Facebook or Instagram, you'll find a link to it on there, which has a blog, and you can put comments on there. But I think there's plenty of avenues where you can get in contact with me and provide me feedback, or any future topics you want me to cover, or just to say hello. I'd welcome that. But I hope you enjoy the podcast, and I look forward to doing the next one for you. I think at the moment it's looking at one a month, but that might change depending on time and commitments that I have. But I am looking forward to getting guests on the podcast. So if you feel you have an experience or story to tell that would benefit others, I'd welcome you to get in contact with me. I've already got a list of people that are ready to do this, and I'm really looking forward to getting them on the podcast, because I think they're going to bring a lot of value to a lot of people. So I really want to make this a medium which helps people and spreads positivity. Till then, stay blessed. This is Avtar Singh, the Seek Coach, signing out. See you next time. Thank you for listening to the Seek Coach podcast. If you found this episode valuable, do share with your friends and family, and do give us feedback. You can email us at theseekcoach@gmail.com, or find us on Facebook. Just search the Seek Coach podcast, and follow us on Instagram at the Seek Coach. Thank you for listening. Stay blessed.